Welcome to the Mind Your Wedding Business podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 30 years ago. Each week on this podcast, you'll hear thought-provoking and empowering interviews with wedding professionals who have found success in the industry. If you're a business-minded wedding pro who loves love, but also cares about their bottom line, buckle up and get ready to learn from a new industry expert each week.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business. I'm here with the one and only Meghan Ely. How are you, one and only?
I am hungover from the Taylor Swift wedding that I did not attend, by the way, but I mean the madness around it. I'm good. I'm getting my sleep again. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
And one of the questions I was going to ask you, we'll just get it out of the way before we jump into everything else, is why didn't she consult you on the date?
I know it's really rude. Prince Harry with his post-Thanksgiving and engagement. And I mean, no one ever thinks of all of us, but
and you were on vacation.
Well, I was supposedly on vacation. I take a week off every summer to do house stuff, like a housecation kind of thing. And it was Travis's 50th birthday. So and then this happened. And it's you would have thought my whole team looked at me with sad, mournful eyes. They were so sweet. They're like, what about your vacation? I'm like, it waits for no one. If someone that famous gets married, we just have to make it work.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking about how Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding is influencing the wedding industry. But before we do, Meghan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how we got you here today?
Absolutely. Well, you begged me. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true, guys. Sorry, he opened the door on that. No. So I'm Meghan Ely. I'm a longtime owner of OFD Consulting. I'm a wedding publicist / friend to Kevin as well for many years, 11 years now. And what we do a lot of things. We help people get published, but as it relates to Taylor Swift and all of that stuff, is we do a lot of trend tracking. As you know, Kevin, of course, I co-present the Wedding Trend Talk at Wedding MBA for the last several years with Terica, our girl Terica. So we're always watching that. But then also as a publicist, anytime if someone's, and we're talking household names, super famous getting there, we're talking the Royals, we're talking Taylor Swift. If they sneeze in the general direction of their wedding, members of the media want to talk about it, and they need viable resources who can act quickly. And so that's where I come in to help provide that. So that's why when she got engaged and now this, it's you kind of prepared knowing what you were going into in terms of the hubbub around it.
Well, yeah, and everyone was talking about before even the engagement. They were already looking ahead to the wedding, I feel like. So it's exciting that we got the engagement and then we actually got the actual wedding itself. So
we did, which was a mystery until 3 seconds beforehand. That was very different than what I'm used to.
Yeah. No. All right. So, Meghan, you've been quoted in the New York Times, the Today Show, the Bridal Guide, and many other outlets about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding. What was it about this wedding that made the media treat it so differently than other celebrity weddings?
That's a great question, honestly, because it's as close to a royal wedding that we're going to get. I had a really thoughtful question come out saying, is it a royal? It's no, it's not. It's not, but it's the closest we've got. It is a global sensation. Huge name, also mirroring another huge name. I'm not a sports ball girl myself, but I know Travis Kelce was not. It wasn't he was some unknown bloke that she picked up from a bar somewhere. And so you're talking about insanely famous people, especially Taylor Swift. And so with such a huge following and so much buzz, I mean, she does anything and everyone talks about it, right? So that's what made it so different. They also were pretty public with their engagement pretty quickly, which is why and we can get into this, why it's weird that at the time of this recording, we haven't seen images from the wedding yet, which I know we can dive into, but it was a very public engagement once it happened, as well. And that was a little bit different too, because sometimes you hear about it through the grapevine, you see someone wearing a ring, but these guys were like, boom, we're engaged. And so, but really it's the household name. She's arguably one of the most famous people globally. So that was a big deal.
Well, yeah, and it's funny that you said, sports ball and Travis. I mean, Travis is second bill or maybe even third or fourth bill when it comes to Taylor. Taylor is what everyone's...
she's in her whole thing, but I mean, he is not too shabby in terms of very, very well known,
No.
So that's the thing in their own right. So I think it came down to that. And it's also, if I may add one more thing, there's such a interesting, I should just say, parasocial relationship people feel they have with Taylor Swift. She, I am not a known Swiftie, but you are among Swifties, and I certainly appreciate her cat lady tendencies. I did not hide my cat tree today because I'm like, Taylor would want it. So,
Yes.
but the thing is, I also know enough about her music to know she shares a lot of her life, what she chooses to, and her love life, like famously in her music. So
Hmm.
people have been on this journey with her, it feels like, to find the love of her life. So I think that parasocial relationship is very different than what we see with like a Selena Gomez getting married, right? Totally
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, and especially because every song is about something that has happened through her life and her love life, and
Yeah.
and those Swifties really document which songs are about which
Analyze
boyfriend, and
it.
and then all her she's about numbers, and Travis, 13 is her lucky number, and
You know
Travis was
more
number.
than I do, friend. You know
Yeah.
more than I do. But I think you're also like surrounded by people telling
Uh,
you that.
yeah, I'm around it. So, anyway, so even though the wedding has already happened, we
Yep.
still haven't seen the photos like you mentioned. Do you
Wild.
think the mystery has only made people more invested in the wedding?
It depends on when she potentially announces the pregnancy, right? Like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? I mean, who knows? That's not our business. Like, I'm very sensitive even to the most famous people about that. Like, like everyone's gonna forget about those pictures if she announces she's having a kid, right? Everyone's like, who cares
yeah.
about pictures? Like, so that does depend a little bit on that. I would imagine maybe she'll use those photos when she's trying to cover up that she's expecting, if that happens for them. I mean, who knows, right? Again, I want to be sensitive to that. But I would say the fervor is dying down a little bit. I think it's almost like with trends where things really ramp up and everyone cares and then only a few care in the back end. And right now the Swifties are a large contingency, but I think
Hmm.
interest is starting to wane because life goes on, right? I'm sure there'll be fervor again if the photos are released, but the further we get away from the wedding, it's like, oh man, I guess she isn't, right? Or if she rolls
Yeah.
out like an album or a new tour, which I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But like she'll change the conversation if she wants to away from it.
Yeah. Well, it was also interesting on the Travis side too, is that Jason and Travis's podcast wind
Mhm.
down like
Yeah.
the week after the wedding, and you can tell it was already pre-recorded because they didn't even mention the wedding. But so they're like on a hiatus until September, and then they come back
And
when
they come
football
back
comes back.
for
Yeah.
football
So
season. But
so
yeah, it's a
yeah,
quiet time.
yeah,
Hmm.
it really is. So how do you think the wedding has already impacted the wedding industry, even since we haven't even seen a photo yet?
Yeah, well, and I think we can both agree with this. I think when she got engaged, and I've said this to a few folks, it was like, listen, if she just goes and elopes, which is certainly everyone's choice, that's not going to be a great look for the industry because you're like, no, no, have a huge celebration. So I think revitalizing, I am a lifelong lover of weddings. Of course, I've been at this for 23 years at this point in some capacity, not as old as you, but up there. But I
Yes.
see the magic in weddings, and this brought a little bit more magic back into it, right? And that's what Meghan Markle's wedding did, Kate Middleton, all of those. And so, just in a general sense, it got people talking about these celebrations again, and kind of putting a little bit of pizzazz back in the wedding industry, which is always a welcome thing, right? Because in this economic times, we need a dose of that. But I would say more specifically, I think there's going to be some conversations. Listen, I don't. You're probably going to ask this, and I'm going to answer it now. I don't think she's gonna be setting any major trends with this wedding. Like, I don't think it's going to be some
No.
significant changes. I thought there would be, right? I'd mentioned to someone how Meghan Markle had like the floral arch, and that was very iconic. And then we saw that for 2 to 3 years, and we still do. Unless we see the photos, we're not going to see that sort of thing. But the thing is, she picked a lot of things that we were already seeing. She's
Mhm.
literally it was like she's his stars,
Garden.
they're just
Yeah.
like us, like Secret Garden and all. But I do think there'll be conversations around some of the choices made. The idea of only having your just like having your brother as your best friend, like which is what I did for my wedding. So,
Mhm.
obviously she's a copycat there. But having these maybe smaller wedding parties or not doing those, there's gonna be a conversation around that. There are conversation around these vows, which were spectacularly long. I hope that doesn't come up and become a thing. Like I want vows, but I don't need them to be 20 minutes each. Who's marrying you? Things like this.
I
So
was
there are
gonna say, I wonder if that. I mean, how
Adam
many other
Sandler for
weddings
her.
is Adam Sandler gonna
Yeah,
be
I know,
doing
right?
now.
I'm sure he's gonna be asked. I'm sure he's gonna be asked, and I'm sure he won't do it. But I think there'll be conversations around some of those choices. But a lot of what she did, although it was extravagant and no doubt beautiful, I mean, I'm sure she had the very best team on it, but it wasn't something so outlandish like when Gwen Stefani wore the ombre dress that we're gonna say, well, this
Yeah.
is changing the direction of things, which that did, right?
Yeah,
So
it
I just
did.
don't, I hate to say it, but I don't see that's why I knew that the media would die down quickly because I'm like, "Oh, this is an extraordinary wedding," but she didn't do anything that we haven't seen at a different scale before, you know?
Well, and I wonder too is like there were so many people there really trying to get all this information, but they did a really good job of creating the secrecy behind what was going on
Mhm.
from the way the vehicles entered into a tent and can't, like you couldn't, it was hard to see who the guests were, and all that kind of stuff. So unless people
Yeah.
were sharing those kind of things ahead of time. So it was very well orchestrated. Even like the planner she used, it's a very private, like the
Yeah.
girls looked him up in the his website is basically a black page with a logo and an email.
Yeah, and that's
It's
it. And
yeah,
and I know a lot of people outside of the industry, and the number one question I got at the beginning was like, "What do you think about Madison Square Garden?" I said, "Everything." A lot of the choices she made for herself, I was like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Wait," and I sit and think about it for a second. I'm like, "No, that absolutely makes sense. That
mhm,
absolutely makes sense." She said on the Graham Norton show she was going to invite everybody she ever knew, which she basically did. Like, "Hello, Tom Cruise. What are you doing here? Like,
yeah.
what are you doing here?" And so with that, I do think that it made sense that they were going to do something very secure, right? So it really wasn't like once I thought it through. But yeah, I just don't see this making like a mega impact because there wasn't anything. Again, what we saw sounded amazing, and kudos
Mhm.
to the wedding day team. But they did what she wanted, and what she wanted was what a couple wants these days, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, and you mentioned it's funny that you even talked about the bridal party. I'm already starting to see that, and I started seeing that several months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like I'm wondering if they're chasing or they're following the trend. Like they're
No,
following it. Yeah,
absolutely. I
yeah.
think it's falling in line with what a lot of people are doing. Like I said, I did it. I did it because I mean I love my girlfriends, but my sister-in-law had just had a baby, so she was newly postpartum, and I had a lot of friends from out of town. And I'd been in weddings and I enjoyed the experience and I'm honored. Like there's a frame photo of me being a bridesmaid somewhere from a million years ago. Really loved it. But I didn't want to have to deal with that. I just wanted my
Yeah.
friend. I loved having my brother next to me. That was so much fun. So
Yeah. No, and it's special that way. So
yeah.
so now do you think the media is primarily interested in the wedding itself or the cultural, like
I
economic impact?
I think they're excited about breaking whatever they can first. Like that's what they care about.
Oh,
Like they
okay.
get the pictures, they get the things. What do you know? What do you do? All of that. Like that's what they is there any drama? You know what I mean? Like that's I think now we're gonna see some really thoughtful articles as follow-up. And I always enjoy those the most. Like right at the very beginning, the hubbub is like Johnny on the spot. Who's got the scoop, right? The most people will
TMZ.
vote. TMZ, I know. Those and them and the Swifties, man, very different types of people, but they can certainly figure just about anything out. And so who's got the scoop? And then because whoever gets the scoop, they get linked to, right? And that's a
Yeah.
part of the game and Google and all of that. But I would say now it's going to be more thoughtful of like seeing some of the longer term effects of some of these choices made. But they really just, I mean, you want I can't speak for the media, but based on my observations, it's like you want things that are heartwarming, and you also like controversy because people read that stuff, right? Ooh, like
Yeah.
I keep bringing it up, but like the royal wedding with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, what was the big story? I don't expect you to remember this, but I was
It was
talking.
her. It was Meghan Markle,
Well, it was
right?
her. It was well, she
Um,
doesn't like the smell of Westminster Abbey, and she made
yeah.
Kate Middleton cry, and those are all not true. But like, I was talking to someone who's a royal expert. It was fun, and the minute I said, "Well, you know what we talked about," we immediately knew, right? And so that's what people were looking for that, and they just didn't get it. I mean, it was a fortress, right? I mean, it was a.
Yeah.
But don't you think? And now I'm interviewing you. Don't you think if the photos get released, though, they'll be kind of like I'm sure people will be covering that like mad and like
Oh, yeah.
analyzing it, and then, like, how can you do it for less? Like, get the Taylor Swift like, how can you do the lighting like Taylor Swift? How can you do the music like Taylor Swift, you know?
Well, you also don't have $1 billion behind you
Yeah,
to
Stevie
you
Nicks
did
ain't coming to your wedding, probably,
well,
probably.
yeah, and the rumor that they gave away, they did a raffle and, like, some of the prizes were brand new cars and different I mean, it's just like
That's
there's all
crazy.
kinds
That's so, like
yeah. But that could start a trend if you think about it. Like people will start, I already have people do a little bit of raffle-y kind of things at their wedding, but now that, that could also start a trend. Who knows?
I
You never
guess,
know.
but don't you feel like you're giving them a great day by feeding them and drinks and
Well,
dancing? Like, do I have
yeah,
to? I
but
don't know.
I think so. But everyone, I'm a big believer in guest experience, and hey, but if you can
That could be
enhance,
fun. I mean, it could be fun
yeah,
if done well by the right MC and things like that. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. So,
Mhm.
have you had any? I mean, you talk to so many wedding professionals,
Mhm.
every day. Have you heard any wedding professionals whose clients are already like referencing Taylor and
Not
Travis's wedding?
yet. I think it's just
Okay.
so early, right? But I do because you think about it, we're right now July, right? Mid-July. So I imagine depending on where people are in the process, they're really looking at like the fall wedding. Well, they're doing the last minute stuff for the summer weddings, and then they're moving into the final details,
Yeah.
the final countdown of the fall weddings, right? And so what else it's not like you can be like, you know what, I'm just gonna like fire all my bridesmaids because
Yeah.
Taylor Swift didn't have any, right? So it's like at this point, what could be? But I do think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're in the trenches more than I am with this. We're probably going to hear it from our holiday engagement couples, right?
Probably.
Like this crop that comes in November through February. They're the ones who are like, okay, I got
Well,
to do this, or like the stationery we saw for the invitation, right? Like kind of mountain or whatever that was.
yeah. Well, and I'm wondering too if like once the photos release, then you could probably
Yeah.
put a timetable on how that's going to start affecting things.
1,000%. I think on my side, here's the thing. Right now, a lot of their choices, well, first of all, we don't even know if some of them are true, right? And there
Hmm.
were more action items, right? Like Adam Sandler marrying them and giveaways and things like that. But once we have, if we get actual bona fide photos, I think that's when you're right, we're going to see that kind of turnaround, right? Where it's like, oh, well, that's what I want to do. It's like we might see a few things trickling now. Like did you see the wall of the couple, and it was all these
Hmm.
photos, which I thought was lovely and cute because there's some photos a lot of people don't see, right? Because they're so
Hmm.
photographed. So I think it had more gravitas than like putting a bunch of
Yeah.
Dennis photos up on the wall, which I would
Well,
like
you
to.
never know.
You
You would like
never
to
know, but
see. You never
you're not
know.
photographed. But I do think that we'll get a little bit more requests once we have tactile things because right now we
Hmm.
don't have a lot of tactile, right? We have a bouquet toss away bouquet, which was small, which is what they are, and you just saw a few things here and there, but that was about it.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, overall, do you think any part of the wedding industry, like fashion, is being impacted yet, or
Not yet,
just
but it will.
okay, okay,
Let that dress I mean, that is it. If there's one thing and maybe she doesn't want everyone to copy her, right? I mean, that's the thing is too. But you think about Kate Middleton, she had those long sleeves with the lace, like everyone went bananas for that for
yeah,
years. We've seen that Kate effect that still goes on to this day. But the dress will be it. Hopefully not his white tux, but that dress will be it,
yeah,
and the fashion will be impacted. The only fashion we get to see were all the rich guests coming, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's like, what do we learn from that? Not much.
no.
The
Some looked good and some did not. I was
some
like,
looked a
wait,
little
yeah,
goofy.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
like, what are they wearing?
Ed
So
Sheeran. I was like, "What are
yeah,
you wearing? Where are
yeah,
you dressing in? Are you dressing once you get there? Like, what is happening?"
yeah.
So
Once you're
I
going,
agree. It's gonna be fashion, and then if we get any, like, real scenes from the reception with the setup and all that, and I just don't know if we will, if we haven't already.
hmm.
Mhm.
All right. So how quickly do vendors usually react when a high profile wedding
Yeah.
happens? Do you think?
I mean,
Like,
yeah, I got text messages within 15 seconds, right? Like,
did
so
you
it's
really?
we did. Oh, yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. This was me walking on a plane. I'm in Philly. Don't ask me where I'm going. Doesn't matter. Maybe St. Louis. I can't remember. I was going somewhere.
You're
And
cutting through.
I was going through by way of Philly, and it was like my phone was just, I'm like, what the hell? And I looked, and it was like people losing their minds. And so you get it a few different ways, right? You get the Swifties, they're excited, and people are like, girl, you're going to be okay because it's going to be crazy, all these things. But really, there was anticipation she'd probably get engaged, right? Like, what do we know? But like, that was probably going to happen. And so you get the people who are the Swifties who are excited and want to talk about it right away. And that's very authentic. But then there's the rest of us who are like, this is something that could do well online as long as there is some authenticity to it, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure Sarah Dunn SEO would tell you. Sarah will tell you how like those are the keywords people are searching and what are you putting out there for content and publicity. And so it was immediate for the engagement. Now, what was weird about the wedding was we were not 100% sure it was the wedding until Thursday night, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it was weird and annoying as someone who was trying to, like, go on vacation. I was like, "Are we
yeah,
doing like, it really I didn't expect as much press as I had to do for it. I usually am not as you know, I put Kevin Dennis out there. I don't put Meghan
yeah.
Ely out there, but I had to do more of the press than I expected. And so it was immediate.
But
It
that
was
made sense to me because you're the one that is like, I don't know. It just made sense
No,
to
it
me.
did in the end, but, like, I guess I was so focused on my clients that it didn't even occur to me. I was like, "Oh," because what I saw was once we didn't know what was going on, and then it was like, everyone's like, "Oh, this is gonna be a huge, like, media hubbub for you." And it's like, well, because we're not 100% sure what's going on, the people who are gonna be interviewed are true, like, niche experts. So it's gonna be the people who know how to do an event inside Madison Square Garden, the people who do regularly celebrity type things. Like, and then someone like me who wedding media, the media and weddings, like there are like what, three of us who could talk about that, four of
Yeah,
us who really could
yeah,
talk about that in the country. And so yeah, it didn't occur to me at the time because I was so focused on you guys and getting things out the door. But it was immediate. I was joking with some of the media outlets. I mean, they were just not sleeping. It was just round the clock stuff because it was
yeah.
as it was coming in. But yeah, it was all very immediate. And I think those who really love Taylor Swift, they were the ones first out the gate to be like, "Oh my gosh, here's what we need to know," because they know the most.
Yeah.
And it was
I
cool.
did I
Mhm.
did, and I did have August put a fake truck that we were delivering stuff
Yeah,
to
that
Madison.
was funny. See, I'm not a huge fan when people that was one of the funnier ones because 'cause you're like,
Yeah,
"Okay, that's ridiculous." But then some people were really like, there were people doing, like, AI renderings, and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, is this" I'm like, "Guys, it's not."
No. I said
Yeah.
when I told her to, and I said, "Let's do it on, like, cleanup," and go, "Whoa, what a weekend that was." Like, "Whoo, what a whirlwind that was." So,
No, absolutely. But no, I think people jumped in pretty quickly. And it was whether they were pitching to the media or content. It was fun to see some stuff on it. I did that whole Netflix interview early on. Like Travis saw me like running into the sunroom where there was good light. And it was like 100 out and I had like a blazer on. He was like, "What are you doing out there?" I spoke about, trust me, it's funny. It's funny to me. I don't think anyone in it, but people did like it. So they thought it was
yeah,
pretty funny. But yeah, we all jumped in pretty because you have to strike while the iron's hot, right? With that
yeah.
information. Hmm.
And like I always say, poor Travis. So,
Poor Travis. Shout out to my husband and on his birthday week,
yes, yes. On his big birthday week too.
the big 50. I know that was the thing is I wasn't just taking a week off. I was hosting 55 people in my house for a birthday, which is
Yeah.
like half the size of my wedding. I was like, "Oh, really, really, Taylor?"
Yeah, come on, girl. Alright, so how much influence can a celebrity wedding have on couples who don't necessarily identify, like, as Taylor Swift fans?
They can have a tremendous amount. That's a great question because, here's the thing. When it comes to celebrity weddings, especially the ones that end up with like a Vogue feature, People feature, like they are sharing their images, which again, right now we don't have images, true professional images from Taylor and Travis's wedding. So it's a little bit different. What happens is it's consumed in mainstream and then it like media and everyone sees it. Even if you're not like, you don't know the last thing Selena Gomez did, you're still going to see her stuff everywhere. You're going to see all these, and so what happens is it goes out publicly, it washes over us, and then it's pinned, and then it's reshared, and we can't help but start, cataloging that and thinking, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
cute." And then, of course, the media is gonna cover, "Oh, you can do this for your wedding, inspiration." And that like, we did a lot with the LA Times in the last year surrounding a bunch of celebrity weddings. Like, that was our thing with our writer, Pallavi. It was like, "Okay, well, who got married?" And so it's because it's everywhere. And it
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily have to be because it's someone we're obsessed with. I mean, when it's everywhere and it's someone you're obsessed with, like Kate Middleton, yeah, everyone's gonna wear what she wore. The end,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right, yeah. But then with Taylor, we didn't have the photos, but then with a Selena Gomez, again, recent person married, not everyone has the same obsession as they do for the royals or whatever. So yeah, absolutely has an impact. What we're dealing with right now is just Taylor didn't do anything that was so different than what we're seeing already. It was just a different scale.
mhm, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, my youngest, Ryan, is a Taylor hater, and so,
Oh, man.
yeah,
Okay.
she's on
So
team,
young to have hate in her heart.
no, but she just if I don't know whatever she's been this way forever. She's just not a Taylor Swift
Mhm.
fan. She likes Olivia Rodrigo. Whatever.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah. So, but she told me she goes when all it was on the TV. She walked by and they were talking about Taylor Swift. She goes, "You better not do any Taylor Swift wedding stuff. If they ask you, tell them you can't do it." So
Oh, you're
it was
like,
making
that's
me
a
laugh.
no.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, whatever.
That's a
But
no.
it's just,
But I was going
yeah.
to say, what's a great example of something you've told me before that you saw that was made popular by pop culture, celebrities, things like that? You know what I'm thinking about is Crazy Rich Asians with the water going
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Right? Great example of it's
Yeah.
everywhere. And then people are pinning it. And then they go to you and they're like, can we have water
Yeah.
down our
Sure. How
aisle?
much money you got?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, and we actually got asked to do that
Yeah. That's why
multiple
I'm bringing it
times.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. And it
Mhm.
just, and still to me, that's the most beautiful scene in a wedding
Oh
movie
God,
ever.
I just absolutely totally got no, I did. But it just goes to show when things are at a scale being shared everywhere, and that also includes things that we see that go viral on TikTok and Instagram. Like it's covered by enough people and then it will trickle down. It always does. Like trends have this like early adopters, then everybody, and then it dies down. And then
Yeah.
we're left with the mason jars, right? My
We're not
favorite.
we're not talking about that. All right. So now, do you think Travis and Taylor's wedding could change how couples think about like privacy and
Yes.
controlling what's shared from their wedding
Yes.
day?
Yes, I do. If there's
Okay.
one, I'm so glad you brought that up. That there's one thing that could really we can see is that, which is interesting because some people the world's their stage, so that's not going to impact them, right? Like I actually,
Mhm.
as a publicist, I'm a pretty private person, like believe it or not, and so I don't need all my business out there. But there are people who are showboats who are always going to want it. But for the regular person, I think there's going to be more of a like as we are seeing. I feel like just anecdotally, I'm seeing more of my members, like people I work with, my clients, where they can't roll out weddings. It's not a ton, but it's like because of all this strict NDA. So yeah, I do think it's taking back the narrative. I think we're going to see it more with celebrities in particular because it's different than if Meghan Ely
Mm.
goes out there and says, guys, you can't see any photos from my husband's 50th birthday. Mm, who the hell cares? But although they all love Travis, but like my Travis, right? Who
Yeah.
cares? Who cares? We don't see the photos, but like celebrities, this will allow them to take back the narrative because for years it's all been about outdoors and helicopters and obnoxiousness. But I do think it gives pause to other people to see, oh, I don't necessarily need to share all this. Like I said, we're always going to have showboats. We're always going to
Mhm.
have people who planning their wedding is like that's like their entire personality. So they're going to put it all over TikTok. And it's like, that's not going to change their minds, but it will for other people.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Want to get your work published and position yourself as a leader in the wedding industry? My sister, Meghan Ely, with OFD Consulting, offers PR support created specifically for wedding professionals. Through OFD Collective, you'll get access to PR leads, expert guidance, and the tools you need to get your work in front of the right people. Because you already have the expertise, now it's time to get the recognition. Go to ofdconsulting.com for more information. So, do you think, because I'm big on guest experience at weddings, I
Yeah.
talk about that a lot. But, do you think celebrity weddings have raised the bar for guest experience over the last several decades?
Based on what we're hearing, yes. But I honestly, yes, to a degree, but I think it's because they have the money to do it, right? To be able to and do some new ideas. And what I really think, pair that with all of the wedding submission features out there that we're
Okay.
seeing on Bridal Guide, Destination I Do, Ruffle, Green Wedding Shoes, like insert amazing publication here. When you start seeing those things pair, which are a little more, how do you put it? Like it's more accessible to people. I think between the two of those things, when it's become more accessible, yes, I think it's raised the bar 100%, what people have been doing. I think there's just been this overall shift in the last like 5 to 7 years where there really has been a shift towards guest experience being more of a priority, right? Oh my gosh, when I was doing weddings 1,000 years ago, 20 plus years ago, I mean, we had this one wedding. It was unbelievable. And I swear it was all about her. It was like a 7-hour reception. I could have died. I was like,
Those are
who?
too long.
Oh, yeah. No, I
I
knew
call I
that.
call it I call them forever weddings.
Forever wedding. Forever weddings. And it was like that. She didn't care. She didn't care at all.
Yeah.
And, but these days it's different, right? We really think about the people going and how it makes them feel as well.
Well, and couples are even going as far as like helping with transportation, and if they don't
Yeah.
have like a bus to transport people, I've even seen couples provide Uber and Lyft codes, and they're going to pay for the
I
ride
love
home.
that. I
You know,
love that. You're
like
just
there's,
thinking of it, beginning, middle, and end. You're thinking of their experience. It was like,
yeah,
my cousin, she still got married recently. We went up to her wedding, which was a lot of fun, right? And it was gonna be a million degrees that day, and it is gonna be outside. And I can think about years ago, many years ago, I'm not gonna identify where because I don't want to identify anything, but I went to a wedding, it was like hotter than the hinges, right? And I ended up burning the tip of my nose while waiting for the wedding to start, which was super late because the water was bouncing, the sun was bouncing off the water. We were all gonna have like heat stroke. There was no water stations, and this was like 15 years ago, right? But this wedding I just went to with Giselle, my cousin, there were water state like it was thought through. There were umbrellas for people who really wanted the shade. It was so different, night and day than what 15 years ago, where it was like,
yeah, but it's funny. So we had a really weird like wet spell during our October, and October here
yeah,
in California is like it's booming with weddings like crazy.
yeah, it's been
And we had a bride that literally got married in the rain. It was, and it was a Jewish wedding, so the cantor was going to sing, and so he's worried about his guitar getting wet, and there's just all these like variables that are going on. But the whole time, I finally took a video of it because it was too good to be true. Like you pan to the couple getting married, and you could see the sheets of rain coming down sideways, and then guests are just sitting there miserable,
yeah,
and
that's
then
not fun for anybody.
well,
It's not.
and there was a guest right in front of me that was from New York, and he said, and I'm gonna cuss because he cussed, but he goes, "So much for sunny fucking California."
I
But he
know,
was like,
right?
but I was
Sure,
like with
sure.
that really thick New York accent, and I'm just like, but the whole time I'm like, I don't blame you, sir. This is
Yeah,
miserable.
it's horrifying. I know it's not exactly the same, but for Travis's birthday, we knew that thunderstorms in the South, it's
Yeah.
every day, right? And so we had we were happily surprised about how many people said yes. Like, and 100% of the people who RSVP'd yes came, by the way.
Oh,
But I spent hours, and Travis and Oliver too, walking through the house, like counting the number of chairs and the space in between to make sure there's. I mean, that was my obsession, was comfort for everybody on the
yeah.
day of.
Which
And I learned that from all of these weddings over the years, you know?
Yeah. Well, but it's just because you got hospitality in your blood, and that's what a big part of, because that's what it's
It is.
about.
These guys, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. They don't think about what about everybody else, because you get
Yeah.
so like they're all leaving and not staying for the reception. Like, it's just crazy. So, yeah, I do think that as a whole, between the big budgets we see with the big weddings, but also the accessible stuff that we're seeing on the blogs, like we're seeing, and it's great. And then correct me if I'm wrong too, maybe even at the most macular, micro level here is people attend weddings, right? You remember that age where you go to like 1,000 weddings
Yep.
and you see how it's done, and that kind of gets into your bones, and you're like, oh, I remember what it was like to make sure there was a water station, it was really hot. I remember what these things were like, and the Uber code, and I want to do that because that made me feel good, right? So I think there's that kind of cycle too.
Well, and even like my wedding last weekend, it was super hot out here. It was starting to get warm, not super, super hot, but like the
Yeah.
caterer like looked at me and yeah, the couple didn't pay for it, but I still did a water, lemonade, and iced tea station for the guests for the ceremony. Because, and
Hmm.
it just, he goes, I don't want anybody to pass out. But I mean, so that to me, I'm like,
They
this
go
guy's
above
saying,
and beyond. We had
yeah,
our charcuterie person who came and brought up a couple of trays. Barbara, she's amazing. The Lazy Grays, she was amazing. And I hired her because I was like romanticizing the idea of putting all these trays together. And I'm like, that's idiotic. Like, someone else needs to do that day up. She wrote me and said, hey, I'm on my way. I'm going to be a few minutes past when I thought, because at the time of this recording, the parasite is out there
yep,
unknown. You guys don't have it as much as we do, but
no,
I think there's only like 20 people in Virginia, but it's freaking us out. And she's like, I went and rebought things that were less likely to be like, I mean, she, without being asked, and like, that's how wedding pros really stand the
yeah,
test of time,
I agree.
and that goes back to Taylor Swift's wedding for a second. It's like, well, yeah, like some people are like, oh my gosh, we'll never know who did the X, Y, and Z. And we won't know a lot of what was done.
And we don't need to know.
No, well, first of all, they were paid well,
Yeah.
please. Like, it wasn't one of these influencer ones where they think visibility and like I could talk about that forever, but there's that. And then in addition to that, those will be referred out. I mean, what we've learned from Taylor Swift's wedding planner was referred out from more than likely because some of Taylor's friends had used them as well. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. 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 Because he did Selena's wedding, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like these folks will stay busy. Don't worry about not having a credit on an
Well,
Instagram.
and it just made me like, I don't know. I had a lot of appreciation for the wedding planner that was very private and then kept himself private, but yet was the go-to guy.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's hard
I
to
love
get
that.
to that person, but I was just like, because there's so many people out there that are making the wedding planning about themselves,
Yes.
and there's so many people on Instagram and it's about them and look how crazy I am at a wedding or look how I put everyone in, it just, but I don't know. It made me like really reflect on everything after that was the one thing that I walked away with. I was like, I really like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I really did like that as well, and I think it was great. It did not bother me as much as it bothered others that we didn't see as much, but it was like, I think there was a statement to doing it at Madison Square Garden. It's like, "Yeah, we're under lock and key." Like,
Well,
you're not
yeah, we
what
can
we want.
control the environment is
Yeah,
exactly what I thought. Yeah.
and it
Because it
sounds like
was
it was
all.
an amazing party, so people didn't miss their cell phones at all anyway, so
Yeah, but those who had that on their bingo card, in Madison Square Garden did not get that right because that was
contested.
yeah.
That was the biggest thing is, like, it was a surprise. We didn't know if it was gonna happen. Like, we still didn't know until
Mhm.
Thursday night when people were at rehearsal dinner. It was like, "What is happening?" Like, I think as someone who, as you can contend, I'm a bit of a control nut, like, just a little bit. So, like, to not have any idea, at least with the royal wedding is they were a date
Yeah.
on the calendar. There were no surprises, no vacations planned around it, you know?
Feeling overwhelmed? Trying to do it all in your wedding business? Our friend Ariana of Ariana & Co. is a virtual assistant who specializes in supporting wedding professionals just like you. From inbox and calendar management to content and workflows, she helps keep your business running smoothly so you can focus on your clients, your creativity, and the parts of your business you love most. Go to arianaandcompany.com for more information.
No, yeah, that made it hard. All right, so what should wedding pros be paying attention to right now of everything that's going on?
I was gonna say hydration because it's really hot. I know. What should they be paying attention to? In a general sense? Well, I would say just having a brief knowledge of like what went down at Madison Square Garden is just helpful so you can stay relevant, right? Because not all
Yeah.
of us are Swifties, but a lot of people are. And so just making sure that that's important. I think it's important to just have a general idea. There's no next big wedding right now. Like there just isn't. We're not looking for the next thing with that. I would say what you'd be looking out for is if photos are rolled out, you ask yourself, how could this impact some of the choices made by other couples? How can we accommodate? If we can't accommodate, what can we do to show them we can do it, but just a little bit different, right? That's the thing.
Mhm.
That's the way I always said. It's like when years, a million years ago when food trucks were, and it's still something people do, but like all the rage. I went to club caterers and I spoke and I said, listen, I know you're not going to let these at your club, right? So you have to ask yourself, what can you offer instead of this to accommodate this kind of desire to do this pop up, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what they should be doing, really.
Well, and that's probably good advice because once the photos come out, is like, how can you spin it into what you do
Yeah,
because couples are going to be asking about it. So,
yeah,
yeah,
100% with that. So we'll just see. Time will tell. Like I said, if she announces an album, I don't think she'll announce a tour anytime soon, but a tour or
I think she's going to announce a residency. That's my
a
prediction. So,
residency.
yeah.
That's it. In Las Vegas. You think it would be in Las Vegas?
I don't know where, but the Sphere could be. It's been kind of rumored
That would be
there.
nuts. I would go to that.
I
Yeah,
would too, and I'm not a Taylor. I wanted
I'll
to go
go
to.
with you.
Yeah,
We'll
there
go.
we go. We'll go. We'll do
Plans are done. We were supposed to go see Britney, and obviously that didn't work out.
that. Britney bitch didn't happen. No,
No, it did not. So we have to
so
fill it with something else.
you never know.
No. So we'll see. But like if she starts announcing other things, this starts to go, and then she's just an old married couple like the rest of us. So
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, yeah, and that's I think kind of the cool thing is that they really do look like they're a fun couple having a great time, and I
yeah,
think
I
I
enjoyed the
mean,
documentary. I watched the
yeah.
documentary. I definitely got a little like verklempt a couple of times, like watching it, a little teary. Just it was very like they're very sweet together. They seem
Yeah.
to really enjoy each other's company, and I
Well,
love that.
you were the Eras Tour documentary you watched?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
watched
yeah.
that. I thought
Yeah,
it was
I
very
did too because it
sweet.
was very and like the times that he was like waiting for her and doing like you're like these two guys are really in love.
Yeah, they
So
are, and he's a showman, and he gets it. Like, no, I don't think everyone. He doesn't
no,
strike me as someone with a fragile ego. Like,
no,
I don't think we have to worry about like his cup is filled. He knows he's great.
yeah.
He's handsome. Like, I mean, to some, I think he's okay, but like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a
Yeah,
handsome
yeah, yeah,
guy
no, and he's got like it's a sense of
with a
humor, the way
charm.
he carries himself. Like he's definitely going to
Yeah.
be acting. Yeah, he's already acting now, so he's definitely going to be. That's probably going to be. He's going to have some kind of TV career when his whole life is
Well,
said
we'll
and done.
see. I mean, the podcast is hilarious. He and his brother are really funny together, and like everybody's on that. Like George Clooney was on the podcast. I'm like, what?
No, this last year well because they just ended last week,
Yeah.
and they just so they started with Taylor Swift, and then they ended with Tom Brady, who's
Which is
everyone
nuts.
consider.
I mean, yeah, I'm from Boston, so I know
Yeah,
who that is, of
well,
course.
I mean, they consider
And
him the
Prince,
best
and
ever.
and
Well,
Prince
no,
William.
and then
That was
no,
nuts.
but then you go in between. It was like the plus list of everyone,
Yeah,
and then you put Prince William in there, and it just
yeah. On their
and
wedding week too. Like that was
yeah, yes,
I
random,
thought that was really funny. Like he needed more press anyways. But no, I think it'll be fun to see what they do. And they do seem to really enjoy each other's company. And I think that's nice. I think it's nice for especially young kids who look up to Taylor Swift to see something healthy like that. Or
yeah.
what we perceive as healthy. I think,
Well, even you probably didn't listen to the episode that she was on with them, but even the episode that she was on, the very first episode of their season last year with Taylor, is she was kind of like you could tell because she was referencing they do a thing called new news and
yeah.
Travis makes a, but she goes, I've been waiting to do this new, she was
Yeah,
like,
she's really into it. They
yeah,
really it was
yeah,
fun on the documentary when she was talking about how she's really gotten into football. It was very sweet. They both
yeah,
have an intensity to them about what they love. And it's great to find someone else like that with that kind of passion.
yeah,
Look at
yeah.
them. Shout out Taylor and Travis.
There
May
you
you
go.
love you two crazy kids.
You crazy kids. All right. So for the wedding pros listening, what's one business decision you would not make based on this wedding?
Honestly, who am I to say this? I am shocked they have not controlled the narrative by releasing a handful of photos. I don't know if
Okay.
I would have made that move because here's the thing. Like, I'm actually shocked at how few photos had come out for the wedding, but at some point, there's still gonna be enough of a desire for it that someone's gonna pull a phone out of somewhere, I don't wanna know, and show a picture that they took. And so, I think as someone who is a publicist who's all about, well, also reputation, but also controlling the narrative or at least having some say in it, I don't know if I would have chosen not to put out the photo. That I think that I would have done a little bit differently personally. But
All
they're
right. So,
geniuses. Like her publicity team, they're geniuses. So like who am
well,
I?
yeah. Yeah. And I think she's part of that. Like she's part of that
Oh,
strategy.
sure.
I
She's
think.
a big part of
Yeah.
that strategy, but her publicity team, they're icons. So I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a reason to it. But from my like, I guess amateur view, amateur in the sense of Swiftiness, I'm kind of like, wouldn't you get ahead of that by releasing some photos and calling it a day? And like that's
Yeah.
it? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I thought so. For a while there, I didn't think they were like, once I found out, I'm like, they're not going to release any photos ever. And then you start Christian Dior seems like he was very confident that photos will come out because it's rumored that
Yeah.
the
No, it wasn't
gown.
really that was in the press release that was sent to People magazine, so,
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
photos will come out. So it'll be interesting. But also there's probably going to be some like number n- about it. The date will reflect something and
Probably, or something. What I always enjoyed was with the royals, obviously, we were all at the ceremony, right? But then they had the reception, you didn't see a lot, but what they did is, like, once every few years, you see a never before seen photo from the wedding, and I love the trickling in on that,
I
that's
do
fun
too.
for me, so
Yeah, it
but
is
we'll
fun.
see. I'm sure there's a method to it. I'm just surprised in a sense because when you don't release, you're making a message, but when you're releasing and you're limiting, that's a different kind of message too, and I'm surprised that wasn't the message that
Well,
was
aren't you controlling it at that point?
yeah, because it says, "There, you get 3." That's it. Just like the engagement. You get a couple, right? That's
Yeah,
it.
makes
So,
sense. So, all right. So now the photos have been released. Is there things that people should be doing on their
from a
like
business
social media
standpoint
page, blogging,
yeah.
doing anything?
First of all, you have to ask yourself, like, how authentic is this, right? Putting this
Okay.
out there, like, because you don't wanna seem like you're just going after it, grabbing after whatever's popular, but if you truly are a Swiftie or someone who stays on top of pop culture, sure. What I would do is if you have media contacts, go and you know that they've been covering Taylor Swift's wedding, circle back with them and say, "Hey, just saw the photos released. and would be happy to give commentary, da 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 da. Like that's what I would be doing. I mean, literally, my pitches were me texting, getting on the plane in Philly, saying like, "Holy crap, Taylor Swift, what do you need?" Like if you've got that kind of relationship, that's what it's going to look like. So I would be doing the outreach. I would be jumping on the queries, like Haro quoted, insert, whatever that is, and potentially putting yourself out there and just staying on top of that if it's authentic you. That's a big thing, because like when I'll say real quick, I don't mind, in our safe space of you, me, and all the listeners, when I posted about the engagement, someone did message me and was very unhappy I had done anything and was like, thought it was disgusting, like that I had talked about the Taylor Swift engagement. That's okay. It was one person, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion there, so I'm not knocking them for that. But there, and I've never called myself a Swiftie, but there was an authenticity to talking about, like, and for me, and that's why this didn't bother me literally at all, but like the idea of managing the media rush, which is going to happen. So don't you need someone to help lead you through that? And that's what I was there to do. It was strictly educational, you know? So that's the kind of thing you have to be ready for people to be like, ugh, what are you now? You know, it's like, that's fine. I mean, anytime you put yourself out there, right?
There's plenty of people that don't like me, and I'm okay with that. So we just,
the things I hear. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I know. All right. I think we did it. Is there anything else we missed?
No, I think those are the big things. I think we'll wait and see if the photos go live, and then we'll go from there.
No, and I got to thank you for jumping on here, like, because you do the important numbers of the podcast.
I was going to say I am a regular guest of honor.
You do the first, you did the 50. You're coming back to do the 100, whether you want it to do it or not.
Yeah, I knew that.
But we're like at 80. I think when this gets released, we're 82 or 83. We
did the Wedding MBA one together. Was that the 50th too, though?
No, that might have been the 50th.
Okay, that was a big one.
Yeah. So. We do. You got to be you're all those numbers.
On the call. It's like a Batman signal, like a bat signal to me. And I'm like, oh, got to stop everything. Kevin needs me on the podcast.
You're on. So.
You had good questions. These were great questions. So thank you. It gave me something to think about a little bit further. Yeah.
Well, there we go. All right. Well, where can folks, learn more about you and how old you are? And...
I'm 45. I don't care. OFD Consult. Just take your age minus 10, and that's how old I am. OFDconsulting.com. OFD Consulting over at Instagram. I always say don't look for me on TikTok because I'm just watching cat videos. I'm biding time over there. Life hacks, how to make my own veggie stock. Like, I'm not going to be great to over there.
Yeah. Love it. All right. And we will have all of Meghan's information in the show notes and the email blast that goes out so you can connect with her. And I actually referred you to someone recently that did not know you. And I was shocked because everyone, I feel like everyone knows you. I'm like, you don't know Meghan Ely? Oh my God. You got to get in the collective.
Nice
and I was working it like a good friend should. So
like a good friend should.
Yeah. So,
thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you for listening to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Meghan.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business, brought to you by Wedding IQ. If you've got a topic you'd love to hear us cover, or if there's an area of your business you're struggling with, let us know and we'd be happy to help. Don't forget to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and left a review. It helps more wedding pros find us and learn more from our guests too. Thanks again for listening to Mind Your Wedding Business. We'll catch you next time.